Ladies and gentlemen, the loudest transformation doesn't make a sound. The biggest shift in your life won't come from the applause. It'll come from the alignment. See, we live in a world where everyone's talking, but very few are building. Everybody wants attention, but only a few want advancement. Let me tell you something that'll change the game for you. The most powerful thing you can do is focus on yourself and stay silent. Let me tell you something that will change everything in your life if you let it sink in. You are not behind. You're just distracted. You're not lacking potential. You're leaking it every time you put your energy into things that have nothing to do with your purpose. You've spent too much time watching other people win, watching other people post, watching other people chase their dreams, while you sit there second-guessing yours. But here's the truth. You weren't born to spectate. You were born to dominate. And domination begins with direction. It starts when you stop chasing crowds and start chasing clarity. See, the power of focusing on you is the power to own your assignment. Not your friend's assignment, not your sibling's path, not the trend of the day, yours. You were designed with something sacred, a calling, a purpose, a fire that won't go out no matter how long you've ignored it. And the reason it hasn't happened for you yet is not because you aren't capable. It's because your focus is scattered. You're comparing, you're doubting, you're hesitating, and you're waiting for someone to validate what God already gave you permission to do. Let me say this plainly. You don't need more opinions. You need more obedience. Obedience to the voice inside you that's been whispering for years. Start. Obedience to the calling that keeps tapping on your heart, even when you try to drown it out with distractions. You've talked long enough. You've explained long enough. Now it's time to train. It's time to execute. You don't get stronger by watching someone else lift the weight. You get stronger by picking it up, day after day, in silence with sweat on your brow and vision in your spirit. Because listen, you are the project. You are the one who determines how far you go. Not your background, not the algorithm, not the economy. You. Every day you wake up, you're either building your future or betraying it, and nobody's coming to do it for you. When you focus on you for real, you stop blaming, you stop waiting, and you start working. You realize that your next level is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. And that choice must be made in silence, in solitude, when no one is watching but you. When you focus on yourself, something powerful happens. You gain something this world rarely gives out freely: control. Not control over everything, but control over the one thing that truly matters: you, your mindset, your habits, your discipline, your reactions. That's where the shift happens. That's where growth begins. You don't need a bigger break. You need a better focus. You don't need more time. You need more intention with the time you already have. And I promise you this: the moment you stop worrying about what they think and start worrying about what you're becoming, that's when the game changes. That's when doors open. That's when acceleration hits. And you won't even need to talk about it, because results speak louder than noise ever could. So today, make a decision. Not to chase, but to choose. Choose silence. Choose discipline. Choose to build. Choose to stay in your lane long enough for it to take you somewhere. Because while others are talking, you'll be transforming. And when you do that, you won't just change your life, you'll change your legacy. Let me tell you something that most people miss, something that will separate you from the pack if you have the courage to receive it. You are the asset, not your resume, not your followers, not your connections. You. And until you recognize your own value, don't expect the world to treat you like you matter. See, too many people are out here trying to upgrade everything except themselves. They're buying better clothes, better phones, better cars, but the same mindset is running the show. You can't upgrade your life if you're not willing to upgrade you. You are the foundation. You are the source. You are the generator of your future. And just like any powerful asset, real estate, stock, gold, you grow in value based on the investment made into you. The question is, what are you depositing into yourself every single day? Because there's no compound interest without consistent input. You want a better life? You want freedom, options, influence? Then you've got to pour into the one thing that can multiply everything around you: yourself. When you finally get serious about your future, you stop negotiating with your limitations. You stop making excuses about why you don't have time, why it's not the right season, or why you're not ready. You'll never be ready if you keep treating yourself like a second-tier priority. And here's the truth. If you wouldn't leave your money in a place that gives you zero return, why would you leave your energy in places, habits, and people that give you nothing back? You were not created to stay stagnant. You were not put here to survive the week, punch the clock, pay the bills, and repeat. You were born to expand. You were born to produce, but production only comes after preparation, and preparation only comes after investment. You have to be willing to sow into yourself before you expect any harvest. That means reading when no one's watching, training when no one's clapping, praying when no one's listening, stretching when no one understands. That means doing the work in private before you ever expect recognition in public. And hear me, when you invest in yourself, truly invest, you become unshakable. Life might hit you, storms might come, people might leave, but if your growth is rooted in truth and discipline, you don't break, you bounce back. Because you've built something inside that the world didn't give you, so the world can't take it away. That's the kind of strength that scares your old self. That's the kind of strength that builds legacy. You want high-level results? Then bring high-level energy. Put your time, your money, your attention into your growth. Study leadership, train your body, protect your peace, hire the mentor, read the book, heal from the trauma, practice the skill, expand your thinking. Because you are a walking return on investment. And the more you pour in, the more you can pour out. And here's the shift. When you see yourself as the asset, you stop waiting to be rescued. You stop begging for opportunities. You create them because now you understand your value isn't in what you own. Your value is in who you are becoming. So today, make the shift. Treat yourself like the prize because you don't chase greatness and you become it. And once you become it, the world has no choice but to respond.
Let me break it down for you, not with fluff, but with fire and truth. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. You want the money, the business, the influence, the peace, the freedom, but the question is, have you built the internal infrastructure to hold it when it comes? Because it doesn't matter how big the vision is. If your foundation is shaky, it will fall apart under pressure. Everybody wants results, but nobody wants roots. Everybody wants to stand tall, but nobody wants to go deep. And here's what you've got to understand. A skyscraper isn't built up. It's built down first. The higher the building, the deeper the foundation. The taller the tree, the stronger the roots. And if you're tired of your life falling apart every time something shakes you, maybe it's time to stop focusing on what's outside and start working on what's within. The reason your breakthroughs haven't been sustainable isn't because the goal is too big. It's because the character hasn't caught up yet. You can't fast-track integrity. You can't fake healing. You can't buy discipline. The money will expose your mindset. The platform will amplify your insecurities. The pressure will test your preparation. And the results you want? They're just the echo of who you've become on the inside. You want peace? Then check your heart. You want clarity? Then quiet your mind. You want better relationships? Then confront the wounds that keep attracting dysfunction. The external isn't the problem. It never was. The real war is internal. That's where the battles are won. That's where transformation happens. And let me tell you, it's not easy. Inner work is the hardest work there is. It doesn't come with likes. It doesn't come with applause. Nobody sees it, but everybody feels it. Because when you do the work to heal, to forgive, to let go, to rewire your thinking, to renew your spirit, something changes in your atmosphere. You walk different. You speak different. You show up different. Not because the world shifted, but because you did. The bitterness, let it go. The excuses, burn them. That victim mindset, leave it behind. That addiction you've been hiding, that insecurity you've been dressing up, that fear you keep justifying, confront it. Kill it before it kills your calling. Because as long as you avoid it, it owns you. But when you face it, When you bring light into that dark place, you take back your power. That's where growth lives. That's where freedom starts. That's where the real results are born. You don't build a powerful life by luck. You build it by labor, silent labor, private labor, labor nobody praises but everyone benefits from. You want people to feel your strength? Then cultivate it in secret. You want people to trust your leadership? Then master self-leadership. You want generational change? Then do the work no one before you was willing to do. Inner work is not a suggestion, it's a standard. You don't get to skip this. Not if you want something real, not if you want something that lasts. And the beautiful thing is this: when you shift your focus from chasing results to becoming the kind of person who naturally creates results, the results don't just come, they compound. So stop trying to fix the fruit, get to the root. Because when you transform in here, everything out there shifts to match it. That's the law. That's the truth. That's the key. Inner work always shows up in outer results. Always. Let me tell you something that most people never hear. Not in school, not from their boss, and sometimes not even in their own homes. You are not stuck. You're just unclear. And if you can catch what I'm about to say, your life will never move the same again. The enemy of your future is not failure. It's not fear. It's not even lack of resources. The real enemy? Confusion. When you don't know where you're going, everything looks like a distraction. When your vision is foggy, your energy is scattered. And if your energy is scattered, your results will be too. Clarity is power. Clarity eliminates hesitation. Clarity silences doubt. Clarity gives you the courage to stop explaining yourself and start executing. See, when you know what you're here for, when you know what you want, why you want it, and what it costs, you stop entertaining what doesn't align. You stop negotiating with people who don't see your worth. You stop dancing with distractions that wear the mask of opportunity. Clarity doesn't just help you move, it helps you move with authority. The people who win in life are not always the most talented or the most connected. They are the most certain. And certainty only comes from clarity. You don't have to know every step, but you better know your destination. Because if you don't define your direction, the world will define it for you. Somebody's agenda will become your assignment. Someone else's opinion will become your ceiling. And you'll look up one day wondering how you got so far off track. And it won't be because you were weak. It'll be because you were unclear. Let me say this. You don't need more motivation. You need a mission. Motivation wears off, but mission keeps you moving. When you're motivated, you need good days to stay productive. But when you're on a mission, you can be tired and still be committed. You can be discouraged and still show up. You can be overlooked and still build in the dark. That's what clarity gives you. Unshakable direction. Clarity births confidence, not the loud, arrogant kind, but the deep, quiet kind. The kind that doesn't have to prove anything because it knows exactly what it's here to do. You start walking different when your vision is clear. You speak different. You show up with intention. You stop asking for permission. You stop playing small to make other people comfortable because now you've got a vision that demands your full weight, your full voice, your full presence. And that kind of clarity, it's magnetic. People follow people who know where they're going. Money flows toward vision. Favor follows focus. Doors open for those who walk with purpose. You don't need to force it. You just need to focus. Get clear, get quiet, get aligned. And once that happens, you'll realize all those things you thought were in your way weren't even the problem. You just didn't know what you were really aiming for. So here's your shift. Stop trying to move faster. Start trying to see clearer. Because the moment you get clarity, momentum will follow. Peace will follow. Provision will follow. Strategy will follow. Because clarity doesn't just change your direction, it changes your identity. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you believe it, nothing can stop you from building it.
Let me tell you something that can change your whole trajectory. Not next year, not next month, but right now. Your circle
is not just a reflection of who you are. It's a preview of where you're going. If you're hanging around people who aren't hungry, who aren't growing, who aren't pushing themselves, then don't be surprised when you start playing small, because your circle will either elevate your standards or erase them. You can't afford to surround yourself with people who make mediocrity feel normal, people who laugh at your ambition, people who think your discipline is too much, people who tell you to relax, to chill, to be realistic. Listen, if the people around you aren't uncomfortable with how big your dream is, then your dream might not be big enough, or your circle's too small for it to fit. Because here's the truth. If you're always the one pouring, encouraging, building, carrying, but never being stretched, never being challenged, then you're not in a circle, you're in a cage, and cages are dangerous, not because they look like prisons, but because they feel like comfort. Familiarity is not the same thing as alignment. Loyalty is not the same thing as growth. Don't confuse longevity with purpose. Just because someone's been in your life for years doesn't mean they belong in your future. You don't need yes men. You don't need people who pacify your excuses. You need people who sharpen you, who tell you the truth with love and boldness, people who see your blind spots and call you out before life has to, people who don't flinch when you say crazy goals because they've got some of their own. That's iron. That's alignment. That's what keeps you sharp when the fire comes. And let me say this, energy is contagious. You can't sit at tables where everyone's complaining, gossiping, wasting time, and expect to walk away focused, grateful, and disciplined. That's not how proximity works. You don't rise above your circle. You sink to it. If you want to soar like an eagle, but you're flying with pigeons, you'll forget what wings are for. They'll keep you grounded, not because they hate you, but because they can't see what you see. You weren't meant to stay on the ground. You were built for higher. So what do? You audit your circle, not with judgment, but with clarity. Who speaks life into you? Who reminds you of your calling when you forget? Who inspires you to show up better? And who drains your focus? Who feeds your fears? Who keeps you locked into a mindset you've outgrown? Be honest, because your future depends on it. Now, maybe you're thinking, but what if I don't have that kind of circle yet? Then hear me. Become what you're looking for. Be the one who's consistent. Be the one who's disciplined. Be the one who's driven, who speaks faith, who lives with integrity. Because like attracts like. You want high standards? Live them. The right people will find you, and the wrong ones will fall away naturally. You don't owe everyone access. Protect your energy like your destiny depends on it, because it does. This is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. This is about building a future you're proud of, and that kind of future requires people who bring fuel, not friction. So here's the bottom line. Show me your circle, and I'll show you your future. Because your circle is either your ceiling or your launch pad. Choose wisely. Everybody wants the prize, but not everybody wants to pay the price. And let me tell you right now, the distance between where you are and where you want to be is not more talent, more time, more resources, or more motivation. The distance is discipline. You don't need a new miracle. You need a new mindset, because discipline is the shortcut. We live in a world obsessed with hacks, tricks, and secrets. But the truth is, you don't hack greatness. You honor it. You build it, one decision at a time, one small, consistent action after another. Discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny, and most people never get there, not because they aren't capable, but because they aren't committed. Discipline is doing it when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, when nobody's watching. It's refusing to let your feelings vote on your future. See, success doesn't ask how you feel. Success responds to what you do. And that's the secret. The person with discipline will always outrun the person with potential, every time, because talent without discipline is wasted. Ideas without action are useless, and motivation without consistency is a trap. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about alignment. It's about waking up and choosing your future over your feelings, your purpose over your pleasure, your legacy over your laziness. That's why it's hard. That's why it's rare. Because it's easier to sleep in than to show up. It's easier to complain than to commit. It's easier to talk than to execute. But easy never built anything worth having. Easy never made history. Easy never leaves a legacy. And I get it. Discipline sounds like sacrifice, but let me flip your mindset. Discipline is not restriction. It's liberation. It frees you from regret. It frees you from chaos. It frees you from staying stuck in cycles you know you've outgrown. When you get disciplined, your world starts to line up. Your energy increases. Your clarity sharpens. Your results start multiplying. Not because things got easier, but because you got stronger. People will look at your life and think it happened fast. They'll call it luck. They'll say you changed. But what they won't see are the quiet mornings you got up when you didn't feel like it. The moments you said no when your whole body wanted to say yes. The nights you studied. The days you worked. The times you chose growth over comfort. That's the cost of elevation. That's the price of greatness. And discipline is the currency. You can't delegate this part. You can't pray your way around the work. You can't outsource your responsibility. Discipline is personal. It's private. And if you don't own it, it will show. Not in your excuses, but in your results. So here's your shift. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel like it. Get up, lock in, and move. Every time you choose discipline, you make a deposit into your destiny. Every time you show up when it's hard, you send a signal to the universe, to your spirit, and to your future that you're serious, that you're ready, that you're capable of handling what you asked for.
Discipline is not punishment. It's preparation. It's not the long road. It's the fast lane. The ones who win are not the ones who move the fastest. It's the ones who move consistently. Because when you choose discipline, momentum follows, growth follows, excellence follows, and eventually everything else catches up. Discipline is the shortcut. Take it. You've been praying, hoping, dreaming, waiting. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. God won't do what you refuse to do. You can fast for it, cry over it, speak in faith about it, but if you don't move, if you don't build, if you don't act, all you've got is a fantasy dressed up like faith. God is not in the business of rewarding avoidance. He's in the business of partnership. He gives the promise, you carry the process. We live in a time where people want supernatural outcomes, but keep showing up with natural excuses. I'm waiting on God. No, sometimes God is waiting on you. You're not stuck because God is silent. You're stuck because you're still sitting. You're praying for harvest while refusing to plant the seed. You're asking for overflow while leaving your gifts buried in fear. Let me tell you something. God will never do for you what he expects you to do for yourself. You were born with assignment in your spirit, blueprint in your hands, calling in your bones. But calling doesn't come to life without commitment. Yes, God will open the door, but he's not going to drag you through it. You have to get up. You have to build. You have to show up like what he put in you is real. That's what faith looks like. Not just belief, bold behavior. Faith that moves, acts, prepares, even when nothing looks certain yet. You want promotion? Then master what you already have. You want to be used? Then become usable. God is not going to pour favor into a vessel that won't hold its shape. You can't be praying for abundance and living with disorder. You can't be praying for opportunity and walking in inconsistency. You can't be praying for clarity and feeding your mind chaos. God responds to readiness. He blesses stewardship. He honors action. See, favor is real. Grace is real, but favor is not magic. It flows through motion. It multiplies through obedience. There is no anointing for laziness, no blessing for excuses, no breakthrough for avoidance. You're not waiting on the supernatural. The supernatural is waiting on your natural steps, your courage, your discipline, your follow-through. That's when God steps in and does what you can't, but only after you've done what you can. Remember this. David didn't just pray about Goliath, he ran toward him. Moses didn't just ask God to split the sea, he lifted his staff. The walls of Jericho didn't fall because they sat still, they marched in obedience. There's a pattern here. Miracles show up for movers, breakthroughs come to builders. Heaven responds to hustle that's rooted in faith. So stop asking for more while doing less. Stop asking for open doors you're too passive to walk through. Stop treating God like a genie and start treating him like a partner. He gave you the dream. Now give it direction. He gave you the gift. Now develop it. He gave you the vision. Now build it. Because until you do your part, nothing moves. But when you do, everything shifts. So here's your wake-up call. The miracle is already in motion. It's just waiting on you. God won't do what you refuse to do. So stand up, show up, step in, and watch what happens when obedience meets opportunity. That's when heaven backs you up. That's when the impossible starts moving. That's when purpose becomes power. The promise still stands, but you've got to move your feet. This is your moment, your wake-up call. Stop waiting for permission. Take full responsibility, not just the parts that feel easy or comfortable. Take responsibility for your decisions, your actions, your results. Your next level isn't waiting on someone else's validation. It's waiting on you to step up and take charge. You've been talking about it long enough. It's time to be about it. Focus on you, not in a selfish way, but in a way that demands your growth. Stay silent. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your vision. Let your results speak for themselves. Build in the shadows. Work when no one's watching. Because when the lights turn on, you'll shine brighter than ever. The world doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more excuses. It needs more proof. It needs more people who have the courage to take responsibility, do the work, and rise above the distractions. And you are the proof. You are the walking example of what happens when you stop waiting and start creating. Your actions will show the world what's possible when you decide to take full ownership of your life.